The colony ship New Horizon moved slowly through space toward the bright blue planet ahead. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge and watched through the large window as their new home grew bigger. 20 years they had traveled from Earth. 20 long years of sleeping in cold chambers while their ship carried them across the darkness between stars. "Captain, we're getting close," said pilot Ryan Hayes from his seat. His fingers moved over the control panels as he guided the massive ship toward the planet they would call home. Jake nodded and looked around the bridge. Dr. Lisa Carter sat at her science station, studying readings from the planet below. "Commander." Alex Rodriguez checked the ship's weapons, though they hoped never to use them. These people and 800 others were all that remained of humanity's first attempt to reach the stars. "The planet looks perfect," Lisa said, excitement clear in her voice. "Breathable air, fresh water, and plenty of land for farming. The forests look healthy and green." Jake smiled. After so many years of worry, maybe things would work out. The planet they had named Kepler 442b seemed like paradise compared to the dying Earth they had left behind. No pollution, no wars, no crowded cities, just clean air and open space. "Take us into orbit," Jake ordered. "Let's get a better look at our new home." The ship moved closer to the planet. Through the windows they could see white clouds drifting over green continents. Blue oceans sparkled in the light of the system's yellow sun. It looked almost too good to be true. "Captain," Lisa said, her voice suddenly worried, "I'm picking up some strange energy readings from the surface." "What kind of readings?" Jake asked, moving to look over her shoulder at the displays. "I'm not sure. The patterns don't match anything in our database. It's almost like there are machines down there. But the signals are different from human technology." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. They had hoped this planet would be empty, ready for human colonization. The idea that something else might already live here had always been a possibility, but they had pushed that thought away during the long journey. "Could it be natural?" Alex asked, joining them at the science station. "I don't think so," Lisa replied. "The patterns are too regular, too organized. This looks artificial." Before anyone could respond, Ryan called out from the pilot's seat. "Captain, you need to see this." Jake turned to look out the main window. Rising up from the planet's atmosphere were ships, not human ships, but sleek vessels that moved with purpose and speed. They were long and thin, colored a dark silver that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "How many?" Jake asked, his voice steady despite the fear growing in his chest. 12 ships so far," Ryan answered. "No, wait. More are coming up. I count 24 now." The alien ships arranged themselves in a formation around the New Horizon. They were clearly more advanced than the human vessel, moving with a grace and speed that human technology could not match. "Are they trying to communicate?" Alex asked, moving to the communications station. "Nothing on our standard frequencies," the communications officer replied. "But wait, I'm getting something now." A new voice filled the bridge, speaking in perfect English, but with a strange, hollow quality that made everyone uncomfortable. "Human. Vessel, you will leave this system immediately. This world belongs to the Zephyrian Empire. Your kind is not welcome here." Jake took a deep breath and stepped forward. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the colony ship New Horizon. We come in, peace, seeking only a new home for our people. We mean no harm to you or your world." "Your intentions are irrelevant," the alien voice replied. "This system is claimed territory of the Zephyrian Empire. Primitive species such as yours have no right to colonize worlds within our domain." "Primitive?" Alex muttered under his breath, but Jake raised a hand to keep him quiet. "We've traveled 20 years to reach this planet," Jake said into the communicator. "Our homeworld is dying. We have nowhere else to go. Surely there's room for both our peoples on such a large world. There is no room for inferior beings in Zephyrian space," came the cold reply. "You have one of your time periods called ours to leave. If you do not comply, we will force your departure." The communication ended, leaving the bridge in tense silence. Jake looked around at his crew. These people had given up everything to reach this planet. They had no fuel to travel to another star system, and Earth was beyond their reach. "Options?" Jake asked. "We could try to fight," Alex said, but his voice lacked confidence. Our weapons are defensive systems not designed for ship-to-ship combat. We have 800 people on this ship, Lisa added. Families, children, elderly. We can't risk their lives in a battle we can't win. Jake stared out at the alien, ships surrounding them. The Zephyrians clearly had superior technology and numbers, but the idea of turning around and flying into empty space, dooming everyone aboard to a slow death, seemed just as impossible. Sir, Ryan said quietly, the alien ships are moving closer. I think they're about to do something. Jake watched as the sleek vessels repositioned themselves around the new horizon. Whatever these Zephyrians had planned, it was about to begin. All hands, this is the captain, Jake announced over the ship's communication system. We are experiencing a first contact situation. All personnel should remain at their stations and await further instructions. Through the bridge windows, they could see small objects being launched from the alien ships toward the new horizon. The objects attached themselves to the human vessel's hull with soft impacts that vibrated through the ship's structure. What are those things? Alex asked. Lisa studied her readings. They appear to be some kind of canisters. They're releasing a gas into our ventilation system. Gas? Jake asked. What kind of gas? I'm analyzing it now, Lisa replied, her fingers flying over her controls. It's entering our air supply through the external vents. Jake felt his heart sink. Whatever the aliens had just done, it was too late to stop it. The gas was already spreading through the ship, reaching every compartment where his people lived, and worked. Is it poison? Alex asked. I don't think so, Lisa said, studying the readings. The chemical composition is complex, but it doesn't appear to be lethal. It seems designed to affect brain chemistry rather than cause physical harm. Jake realized what this meant. The aliens weren't trying to kill them. They were trying to break their will, to make them so afraid that they would surrender without a fight. It was probably a weapon they had used many times before on other species. Everyone stay calm, Jake ordered. Whatever this gas is supposed to do, we won't let it defeat us. But even as he spoke, Jake could feel something changing in the air around them. A strange smell filled the bridge, sweet and somehow threatening at the same time. This was the moment that would determine the fate of every human aboard the New Horizon. The sweet-smelling gas filled the air throughout the New Horizon. Captain Jake Morrison waited for whatever was supposed to happen next. He expected his crew to panic, to scream, to beg the aliens for mercy. That was probably what happened to every other species the Zephyrians had conquered. Instead, something very different began to occur. Engineer Pete Sullivan, who was working at a control panel near the back of the bridge, let out a small chuckle. At first, Jake thought Pete was nervous. But then Pete started to smile and the chuckle grew into a genuine laugh. Pete, are you okay? Jake asked, turning to look at his engineer. I'm fine, Captain, Pete replied, still grinning. Actually, I feel pretty good. This gas smells funny, doesn't it? He laughed again, louder this time. Jake looked around the bridge. Dr. Lisa Carter was studying her instruments, but she had a strange smile on her face. Commander Alex Rodriguez was checking his weapons systems, but Jake could see his shoulders shaking with quiet laughter. This is weird, Ryan Hayes said from the pilot seat. He was trying to sound serious, but there was obvious amusement in his voice. I mean, we're supposed to be terrified right now, aren't we? Jake felt it too. A warm feeling was spreading through his chest, making him want to smile. The situation they were in should have been frightening. They were surrounded by hostile aliens with superior technology. Their ship was filled with an unknown gas. Their lives were in danger, but somehow, none of that seemed as scary as it should have been. Captain, Lisa said, her voice light and cheerful, I'm getting some interesting readings on this gas composition. What kind of readings? Jake asked. He was surprised to hear himself trying not to laugh. Well, it's definitely affecting our brain chemistry, Lisa explained, giggling slightly. But not in the way the aliens probably expected. Instead of triggering fear responses, it's causing our brains to release endorphins. Endorphins? Alex asked. Those are the chemicals that make us feel good, right? Exactly, Lisa nodded, her smile growing wider. This gas is basically making us happy instead of scared. Pete Sullivan burst into full laughter at his workstation. You mean their ultimate weapon is making us feel like we're having a party? The absurdity of the situation hit everyone at once. Here they were, being attacked by aliens with their most feared weapon, and instead of cowering in terror, the humans were starting to have fun. Jake activated the ship's internal communication system. This is the captain speaking to all crew members. Please report your current status. Responses came back from all over the ship, and they were not what Jake expected to hear. Engineering here, Captain, came the voice of Chief Engineer Dan Murphy. We're all feeling pretty good down here. Tony Garcia just told the funniest joke about alien air freshener. Medical Bay reporting, said Nurse Amy Johnson, her voice bright and cheerful. I've got a few people here who were worried about the gas, but now they're all laughing about it. Nobody seems scared anymore. Security station here, reported Maria Lopez. My team is ready for action, sir. Actually, we're kind of excited about it. Whatever these aliens thought their gas would do, it's not working. Jake looked around the bridge again. His entire crew was fighting back grins and chuckles. The alien weapon that was supposed to break their will was having the opposite effect entirely. Lisa, Jake said. Why is this happening to us? I think it has to do with human evolution, Lisa explained, still analyzing her readings. We evolved on a dangerous planet with lots of predators and natural disasters. Our brains developed ways to cope with fear that other species might not have. What do you mean? Ryan asked, spinning his pilot's chair around to face her. Well, humans have always used humor to deal with scary situations. Lisa continued. We laugh when we're nervous, we make jokes when things look bad. It's how we've survived for thousands of years. So when the aliens try to make us afraid, Alex said, understanding dawning on his face, our brains fight back by making us laugh. Instead, that's exactly what I think is happening, Lisa nodded. Their fear gas is actually triggering our natural defense mechanisms against terror. Pete Sullivan wiped tears of laughter from his eyes. This is the best thing ever. They try to scare us and we just think it's funny. Jake felt a surge of confidence that surprised him. The warm, happy feeling from the gas was mixing with a very human sense of defiance. These aliens thought they could break the human spirit with their weapon, but they had badly underestimated what humans were capable of. Ryan, Jake said, his voice steady but amused. Open a communication channel to the alien fleet. Are you sure, Captain? Ryan asked, though he was grinning as he worked the controls. Oh, I'm sure, Jake replied. I think it's time we introduce these Zephyrians to human hospitality. The communication channel opened and Jake could hear the alien voice from before, now sounding confused and uncertain. Human vessel, why have you not surrendered? Our fear gas should have broken your will by now. Jake looked around at his laughing crew and felt his own smile grow wider. That's the thing about humans, he said into the communicator. We don't scare easily. In fact, we think your gas is pretty amusing. There was a long silence from the alien ships. Jake could imagine the confusion aboard the Zephyrian vessels as they tried to understand what had gone wrong. This is impossible, the alien voice finally said. Our terror weapon has never failed. It has conquered every species in the galaxy. Well, you've never met humans before, Jake replied cheerfully. We have a saying on our world, if you can't beat them, laugh at them. More laughter erupted around the bridge as the crew heard their captain's words. The situation was so ridiculous that nobody could help themselves anymore. You're telling me, Alex said between chuckles, that their most powerful weapon just made us feel better? That's exactly what I'm telling you, Jake replied. And I think it's time we showed them what humans do when we're in a good mood. Lisa looked up from her instruments, her eyes bright with excitement and the effects of the gas. Captain, I'm detecting something interesting. The aliens are increasing the concentration of the gas. They're giving us more? Pete asked, laughing, even harder. This just keeps getting better. Jake felt the additional gas taking effect immediately. The warm, confident feeling grew stronger, and his mind began working faster. Ideas that seemed impossible before now felt completely achievable. Lisa, do you think you can analyze this gas enough to understand how it works? Jake asked. I'm already on it, Lisa replied enthusiastically, and I think I might be able to reverse engineer it. Reverse engineer it? Ryan asked. What would we do with that? Jake's smile turned into something that might have worried the aliens if they could have seen it. We're going to show these Zephyrians that humans don't just laugh at danger. We laugh while we fight back. The Zephyrian ships pulled back to a safe distance from the New Horizon. Fleet Commander Zeph Kalar stared at his control screens in complete confusion. In 300 years of conquest, their terror gas had never failed. Not once. Increase the gas concentration to maximum levels, Zeph Kalar ordered his weapons officer. Sir, that amount could kill most species, the officer replied. These humans are clearly resistant. We must break their will or destroy them, the commander said. Deploy all available gas canisters. Back on the human ship, the crew was having the time of their lives. The additional gas made everyone feel even better, more creative, and strangely enough, more intelligent. Ideas flowed freely as people worked together with unusual enthusiasm. Dr. Lisa Carter had moved to the main laboratory with a team of scientists. Biologist Carl Watson and chemist Helen Brooks worked alongside her, all of them fascinated by what they were discovering. This is amazing, Carl said, studying samples of the alien gas. Look at how it affects human brain chemistry. Instead of shutting down our thinking, it makes us think faster. The aliens must have tested this on other species, Helen added, mixing chemicals with unusual speed and precision. But human brains work differently than they expected. Lisa nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. I think I know why we react this way. Humans evolved to use adrenaline and endorphins during dangerous situations. When we're threatened, our bodies make us stronger and faster. So their fear gas accidentally triggered those same responses? Carl asked. Exactly, Lisa replied, grinning widely. They tried to make us weak, but they made us better instead. Meanwhile, Chief Engineer Dan Murphy was in the engine room with his best people. Tony Garcia and Rachel Smith worked with him to modify the ship's systems, their hands moving with unusual skill and confidence. If we can copy how they delivered this gas, Dan said, we can use it on them instead. But will it affect aliens? The same way it affects us? Tony asked. Only one way to find out, Rachel laughed. Besides, even if it doesn't work, at least we'll be having fun trying. Dan pulled up the ship's technical drawings on his computer screen. Look here. We can modify the environmental systems to work in reverse. Instead of cleaning the air, we can use them to spread gas outside the ship. That's brilliant, Tony said, already reaching for his tools. How long will it take? With everyone feeling this good and working this hard? Dan grinned. Maybe 2 hours? On the bridge, Captain Jake Morrison was making plans with his senior officers. Commander Alex Rodriguez studied their tactical situation, while pilot Ryan Hayes worked on flight calculations. The alien ships are staying back now, Alex reported. They seem confused about why their weapon didn't work. Good, Jake said. That gives us time to prepare our surprise. What kind of surprise? Ryan asked, though he was already smiling at the possibilities. Lisa thinks she can make a version of their gas that will affect them instead of us, Jake explained. If we can deliver it to their ships, we might be able to turn this whole situation around. How do we deliver it? Alex asked. Our shuttles weren't designed for combat. Jake's smile grew wider. That's where human creativity comes in. We're going to do something they'll never expect. Down in the shuttle bay, maintenance workers were busy modifying the small spacecraft under the direction of pilots Sam Foster and Linda Gray. They attached speakers to the outside of each shuttle and installed gas dispensers near the engines. This is either going to be the smartest thing we've ever done, Sam said, watching sparks fly as workers welded new equipment to his shuttle, or the craziest. With humans, those are usually the same thing, Linda laughed, testing the speaker system. Let's make sure these work properly. The sound of human laughter echoed through the shuttle bay as Linda played recordings from around the ship. The gas had made everyone laugh so much that they had hours of audio to work with. You know, Sam said, listening to the playback, that actually sounds pretty scary when you play it really loud. Scary to them, maybe, Linda replied. To us, it just sounds like people having a good time. Back in the laboratory, Lisa made an important discovery. I think I figured out how to modify the gas, she announced to her team. How? Carl asked, looking up from his microscope. The original compound targets fear centers in the brain, Lisa explained. But if we change just a few molecules, we can make it target confidence centers instead. So instead of making them afraid, Helen said, understanding immediately, it will make them doubt themselves? Exactly, Lisa nodded. For a species that rules through fear, self-doubt might be the worst thing they could experience. The modified gas was ready within an hour. Dan Murphy's team had finished their work on the delivery systems. The shuttles were equipped with speakers and gas dispensers. Everything was set for what the crew had started calling Operation Laugh Attack. Jake stood on the bridge, looking out at the alien ships that still surrounded them. His crew was ready. Their plan was insane, but that was what made it perfect. The aliens would never see it coming. All right, everyone, Jake announced over the ship's communication system. It's time to show these Zephyrians what humans do when someone tries to scare us. Captain, Lisa said from her science station. I'm detecting movement from the alien fleet. They're preparing for another attack. Perfect timing, Jake replied. Ryan, launch all shuttles. Sam, Linda, you know what to do. The shuttle bay doors opened, and 6 small human spacecraft flew out into space. Each one was broadcasting recordings of human laughter at maximum volume, while releasing clouds of the modified gas. The effect on the Zephyrian fleet was immediate and dramatic. The aliens had never heard the sound of human laughter before, through their ears. It sounded like the roar of some terrible predator, completely confident and unafraid. What is that noise? Zeph Kalar demanded as the strange sounds filled his ship's communication systems. It appears to be some form of human vocalization, his science officer replied, his voice shaking. But it's unlike anything in our database. The modified gas began to take effect on the alien crews. For the first time in their lives, the Zephyrians experienced doubt. They began to question their own abilities, their technology, their right to rule over other species. Sir, the weapons officer said uncertainly, should we fire on the human shuttles? Zeph Kalar hesitated. The confidence that had carried him through hundreds of battles was gone, replaced by an unfamiliar feeling of uncertainty. I'm not sure. On the new horizon, the crew watched their shuttles weave between the alien ships, spreading laughter and confusion. The plan was working better than they had dared to hope. Look at them, Alex said, pointing at the alien fleet. They don't know what to do. They've probably never faced an enemy that wasn't afraid of them, Jake replied. They don't know how to fight someone who thinks the whole situation is funny. Dr. Lisa Carter monitored the effects of their gas attack on the alien ships. Captain, I'm reading massive confusion in their formations. Their ships are actually pulling back from each other. They're scared, Ryan laughed. The species that conquers through fear is finally experiencing it themselves. Jake opened a communication channel to the alien fleet. Attention Zephyrian ships. This is Captain Morrison again. How are you feeling now? There was a long pause before Zeph Kalar's voice came through, now uncertain and shaky. What have you done to us? We've given you a taste of your own medicine, Jake replied cheerfully. The difference is, we improved it. Our version works much better. This is impossible, the alien commander said, but his voice lacked its earlier conviction. You keep saying that, Jake laughed. But humans specialize in doing impossible things. It's kind of our specialty. The human shuttles continued their dance around the alien fleet, spreading doubt and confusion while the sounds of human laughter echoed through space. For the first time in centuries, the Zephyrian Empire was facing an enemy they couldn't understand or defeat, and the humans were just getting started. Fleet Commander Zeph Kalar tried to regain control of his forces, but doubt clouded his mind like nothing he had ever experienced. The strange human laughter echoed through his ship's halls, and his crew moved slowly, uncertain of their actions. All ships, attack the human vessel, he ordered, but his voice shook with the unfamiliar feeling of fear. The Zephyrian fleet opened fire with their plasma weapons, sending bright beams of energy toward the new horizon. But their aim was poor, affected by the doubt-inducing gas that the human shuttles continued to spread around them. Captain Jake Morrison watched the energy beams miss his ship by wide margins. "Their accuracy is terrible," he observed with amusement. "It's hard to hit what you're shooting at when you're not sure of yourself." "Captain," Commander Alex Rodriguez said from his weapons station, "should we return fire?" "Not yet," Jake replied, still grinning from the effects of the alien gas. "Let's see how our shuttle pilots handle this first." In space around the Zephyrian fleet, the 6 human shuttles moved like dancers, avoiding the clumsy plasma fire while continuing to broadcast laughter and release the modified gas. Pilots Sam Foster and Linda Gray led the formation, their voices cheerful over the radio. "This is easier than I expected," Sam called out as he spun his shuttle around a mist energy beam. "These aliens can't shoot straight anymore." "Keep spreading the gas," Linda replied, laughing as she dove under another plasma blast. "The more confused they get, the better for us." The other shuttle pilots, Kevin Nash, Carol Wright, Jim Parker, and Beth Sullivan, followed their lead. They had never been in combat before, but the euphoric effects of the original fear gas made them feel like they could do anything. "I can't believe we're winning a space battle by making our enemies laugh," Kevin said over the radio, his shuttle dancing between 2 alien ships. "Not just making them laugh," Carol corrected, "making them doubt themselves. There's a difference, ain't be?" The bridge of the New Horizon, Dr. Lisa Carter monitored the effects of their psychological warfare. "Captain, the alien ships are showing signs of serious disorganization. Their formation is falling apart." "Good," Jake said. "How long before we can move to the next phase?" "The shuttles have released enough gas to affect most of their fleet," Lisa reported. "I think we're ready." Jake activated the ship's communication system. "Attention all crew members. Prepare for planetary landing operations. We're going to take this fight to the surface." The plan was bold, even by human standards. While the alien fleet was confused and disorganized in space, landing parties would secure key positions on the planet below. The humans would establish their colony while the Zephyrians were still trying to figure out what had happened to them. Lieutenant Colonel Frank Davis led the ground forces from the main shuttle bay. His Marines, still feeling the confident effects of the alien gas, were eager for action. Sergeant Nicole Parker and her squad loaded their equipment with unusual enthusiasm. "Remember," Frank told his troops, "these aliens have never faced an enemy that wasn't afraid of them. We're going to show them what human Marines can do when we're having fun." The Marines laughed at their colonel's words. The idea of fighting, while enjoying themselves, seemed perfectly natural under the influence of the gas. "Sir," Nicole asked, "what if they use more of their fear gas on the planet?" "Then we'll have even more fun," Frank replied with a grin. "That stuff works better than coffee for keeping us alert." 6 large transport shuttles launched from the New Horizon, carrying 200 Marines toward the planet's surface. The alien ships in orbit tried to intercept them, but their confused crews could barely coordinate their movements. Enemy transports heading for the surface, Zeph Kalar's weapons officer reported, his voice uncertain. "Stop them," the commander ordered, but he wasn't sure how. "Sir, our targeting systems keep missing. The crews report difficulty concentrating," the officer replied. Meanwhile, the human transports reached the planet's atmosphere without serious interference. The Marines inside were singing old Earth songs, their voices carrying clearly over the radio channels. On the surface, Zephyrian ground forces prepared to defend their positions, but they too had been affected by the gas clouds drifting down from the space battle above. Commander Zeph Talar, in charge of planetary defense, felt the same doubt that was paralyzing the fleet. "Prepare defensive positions," he ordered his troops, but his commands lacked their usual authority. The Zephyrian soldiers moved slowly, uncertain of their weapons and tactics. For a species that had conquered through fear, experiencing doubt was like being blind and deaf at the same time. The first human transports landed in a clearing near what appeared to be a Zephyrian military base. The Marines poured out, still, laughing and joking despite being in enemy territory. "Spread out and secure the area," Frank Davis ordered. but his troops were already moving with unusual confidence and coordination. Sergeant Nicole Parker led her squad toward the alien base. The Zephyrians inside could hear the humans approaching, and the sound of their laughter was more terrifying than any war cry. "What kind of warriors laugh as they attack?" one Zephyrian soldier asked his commander. "I don't know," Zeftalar replied, his voice filled with the doubt gas effects. "Maybe they're insane." The human Marines reached the base perimeter and began their assault. But instead of the fierce battle the aliens expected, they found their enemies barely able to fight back. "They're just standing there," one Marine called. "Out. It's like they forgot how to use their weapons." "Keep advancing," Nicole ordered. "But watch out for tricks." There were no tricks. The Zephyrian defenders, paralyzed by doubt and confused by the sound of human laughter, offered little resistance. Many of them simply dropped their weapons and stared at the advancing humans in bewilderment. "I don't understand," Zeftalar said to his aide. "How can they fight so well while making those terrible sounds?" "Perhaps the sounds are part of their battle strategy," the aide suggested, though he didn't sound convinced. Within 2 hours, the human Marines had secured 3 alien bases and established a perimeter around their landing zone. The Zephyrian ground forces, still affected by the doubt-inducing gas, retreated in confusion. Back in space, the alien fleet was in complete disarray. Ship commanders argued over radio channels, unable to decide on a course of action. Some wanted to retreat, others wanted to bombard the planet, and still others suggested trying to negotiate. "This is impossible," Zefkalar said for the 10th time. "How can one species resist our most powerful weapon and then use it against us?" On the new horizon, Captain Jake Morrison watched the chaos in the alien fleet with satisfaction. "I think it's time we offered them a way out of this mess," he said. "What do you mean?" Alex asked. "Open a communication channel to their fleet." "Commander," Jake ordered. "Let's see if we can end this without more fighting." The channel opened and Jake could hear the confusion in the alien commander's voice immediately. "Human ship, what do you want?" Zefkalar asked. "I want to make you an offer," Jake replied cheerfully. "Your fleet is confused, your ground forces are retreating, and your ultimate weapon has become useless, but we don't want to destroy you." "What kind of offer?" the alien commander asked suspiciously. "Share this planet with us," Jake said. "There's plenty of room for both our peoples. We'll help you understand why your fear weapon doesn't work on humans, and maybe we can learn something from each other." There was a long silence from the alien fleet. Finally, Zefkalar spoke again, his voice still shaky with doubt. "And if we refuse?" Jake looked around at his laughing crew, then at the confused alien ships on his displays, then at the reports coming in from the planet where his Marines were advancing without serious opposition. "Then we'll keep doing what we're doing," he said simply, "and I think you know how that's working out for you." The truth was obvious to everyone, human and alien alike. The Zephyrians had met an enemy they couldn't understand, couldn't frighten, and couldn't defeat. For the first time in their history, they would have to consider something other than conquest. The humans had turned the tables completely, and they had done it by laughing in the face of fear. 3 days passed before Fleet Commander Zefkalar finally answered Captain Jake Morrison's offer. The effects of the doubt-inducing gas were slowly wearing off, but the damage to Zephyrian confidence was permanent. For the first time in their history, they had been completely defeated by what they considered a primitive species. "Human Captain Morrison." Zefkalar's voice came through the communication system, much quieter than before. "We wish to discuss your proposal." Jake sat in his captain's chair on the bridge of the New Horizon, looking out at the planet they had decided to call New Eden. His Marines had established a secure colony site, and construction teams were already building the first permanent structures. Dr. Lisa Carter's science teams were studying the local environment, finding it even better for human habitation than they had hoped. "I'm listening," Jake replied, though he was still fighting back a smile from the lingering effects of the alien gas. "We do not understand your species," the alien commander continued. "Our terror weapon has conquered 47 different worlds. It has never failed before encountering humans." "That's because you never met anyone like us before," Jake explained patiently. Humans evolved differently than other species. We use laughter and humor to deal with fear. It's how we survived, on our dangerous homeworld. On the planet's surface, Lieutenant Colonel Frank Davis was meeting with Zephyrian Ground Commander Zeph Talar in what used to be an alien military base. The meeting was surreal. The Zephyrians, tall and gray with large black eyes, sat across from grinning human Marines who were still occasionally chuckling from the gas effects. "Your warriors fight in a way we have never seen," Zeph Talar said, his voice filled with confusion. "They show no fear, even when facing superior numbers and weapons. Fear just makes us fight harder," Sergeant Nicole Parker explained, trying to keep a straight face. "When humans are scared, we get angry. When we get angry, we get dangerous." "But you were not angry," the alien commander pointed out. "You were making those sounds." "Laughing," Frank Davis supplied. "It's called laughing. We do it when we're happy or when we find something funny." "You found combat funny?" Zeph Talar asked, clearly struggling to understand. "A little bit," Frank admitted with a grin. "Especially when your soldiers kept missing their shots because they were too confused to aim properly." Back in space, negotiations continued between the two fleets. Commander Alex Rodriguez had joined Jake on the bridge, along with Dr. Lisa Carter, who was serving as a scientific advisor for the talks. "Commander Zeph Talar," Jake said, "we're willing to share this planet with your people, but there have to be some changes to how things work." "What kind of changes?" the alien commander asked suspiciously. "No more conquest," Jake stated firmly. "No more using fear weapons on other species. If you want to expand, you do it through trade and cooperation, not force." "That is not how the Zephyrian Empire operates," Zeph Talar replied. "Then maybe it's time for the Zephyrian Empire to learn a new way of operating," Alex suggested. "You've seen what happens when you try to conquer humans. Do you really want to risk meeting other species that might be just as difficult to defeat?" Lisa added her scientific perspective. "From what we've learned, your species developed on a world with few predators and little danger. You never had to develop the psychological defenses that humans did. That's why your fear weapon worked so well on other species, but failed completely on us." "You are saying we are weak?" Zeph Talar asked, and Jake could hear the uncertainty in his voice. "Not weak," Jake corrected. "Just different. Every species has strengths and weaknesses. Your strength is advanced technology. Ours is psychological resilience. Together we might accomplish more than either could alone." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, word of the Zephyrian defeat was spreading through underground communication networks. Species that had been conquered by the Empire were learning that the feared gas weapon could be overcome. More importantly, they were hearing recordings of human laughter. On the world of Centauri Prime, Resistance leader Vex 9 played a captured recording for his followers. The sound of humans laughing during combat inspired something the Centauri had thought lost forever: hope. "If these humans can laugh at the Zephyrians," Vex 9 told his people, "then maybe we can find our own courage to fight back." Similar scenes played out on dozens of worlds. The psychological impact of the human victory was spreading faster than any military campaign could have achieved. Back on New Eden, the first formal meeting between human and Zephyrian leadership took place in a hastily constructed conference building. Jake Morrison sat across from Zeph Talar, while their respective staffs filled the rest of the room. "We have received reports from across our empire," Zeph Talar said, his voice heavy with defeat. "Many of our subject worlds are beginning to rebel. They have heard about our defeat here." "That was bound to happen eventually," Jake replied. "You can't rule people through fear forever. Sooner or later, someone figures out how to fight back." "What do you suggest we do?" the alien commander asked. Jake leaned forward, his expression serious despite the lingering effects of the gas. "Start treating other species as equals instead of subjects. Offer them partnerships instead of conquest. You might be surprised at how much more you can accomplish when people want to work with you instead of against you." Dr. Lisa Carter had been studying Zephyrian psychology and biology during the negotiations. "Commander Zeph Talar," she said, "I think your species could benefit from exposure to human psychological techniques. We could teach you about courage, humor, and resilience. And in return? The alien commander asked. You could teach us about your advanced technology, Lisa replied. Your ships, your energy systems, your terraforming capabilities. Think of what we could build together. The negotiations continued for several days, but the outcome was never really in doubt. The Zephyrians had lost not just a battle, but their entire philosophy of rule through fear. They needed a new way forward, and the humans were offering exactly that. The final agreement established New Eden as a joint human-Zephyrian colony. The Zephyrians would share their technology, while the humans would help them develop new diplomatic approaches to other species. Most importantly, the Zephyrian Empire would begin the process of transforming from a conquest-based civilization to a cooperative alliance. 6 months later, Jake Morrison stood on the observation deck of New Eden's first space station, watching. Ships from a dozen different species arrived for the inaugural meeting of what they were calling the Galactic Cooperation Council. Dr. Lisa Carter joined him at the window. Hard to believe it all started with alien gas that made us laugh, she said. The best human victories usually start with something ridiculous, Jake replied, still smiling. We have a talent for turning disasters into opportunities. What do you think happens next? Lisa asked. Jake watched as a ship from the former Centauri Resistance docked with the station, its crew probably still amazed that they were free to travel wherever they wanted. I think the galaxy is about to learn something important, Jake said. Fear is a terrible way to bring people together. But laughter can unite anyone. In the distance, Zephyrian and human children played together in the colony's first park, their different species finding common ground in games and jokes. The sound of their mixed laughter drifted up to the observation deck, a symbol of the new galaxy that was beginning to emerge. The humans had come to New Eden looking for a new home. Instead, they had found something much more valuable. The chance to teach an entire galaxy that cooperation was stronger than conquest, and that sometimes the best weapon against fear was simply the courage to laugh. The Zephyrian Empire was dead. In its place, something better was being born. One laugh at a time.